I open my eyes to smoke, not the gentle kind that curls from a campfire on a quiet evening. This is the smoke of a city dying, thick, black, tasting of metal and burned plastic, and something underneath that I have learned, over 3 years, not to think about too hard. It sits in my lungs like a second heartbeat. I have stopped noticing it the way you stop noticing the sound of a clock on the wall. It is simply there. It is simply part of what this place is now. My name is Corporal Yara Osei. I am 26 years old. I am a field medic attached to the 14th Coalition Ground Unit, and I am running across a boulevard that used to have trees growing down the center of it. I know this because the stumps are still there, blackened and split, spaced perfectly every 10 meters, like the city is still trying to remember what it looked like before the war arrived. I have a pack on my back that weighs more than some of the soldiers I treat. I have a rifle I almost never fire, because the moment I fire it, I stop being a medic in my own head and become something else. And I need to stay being a medic. I have a notebook in the breast pocket of my jacket. It goes everywhere I go. It has never once left my body in 3 years. I reach the cover of a collapsed wall and press my back against it, breathing hard. To my left, Sergeant Torres is already there, face streaked with dust, counting hand signals at me with 2 fingers. 2 contacts, north. I nod. I have heard the Vithori before I have seen them. That low, resonant clicking sound their armor makes when they move, like someone dragging a chain across stone. It is a sound that used to make my stomach drop in the first year. Now it is just information. The Vithori have been our enemy for 3 years. Nobody back home can tell you exactly why the war started, because the official reasons have changed 4 times. What I know, from the ground, is simpler. They came. They were enormous and armored, and they did not slow down. We pushed back. They pushed harder. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, the pushing became the whole point, and the original reason stopped mattering to anyone actually doing the fighting. I have 41 names in my notebook, not orders, not coordinates, names. Every soldier I have watched die in 3 years, written down in the small, careful handwriting my mother taught me when I was 7 years old. Private Demi Rios, Corporal Ashan Webb, Lieutenant Priya Sathi, 41 names and the dates beside them, and sometimes, when I had time, one small detail. What they said last, or what they were thinking about, or what they looked like in the moment before. My lieutenant thinks this is unhealthy. I think it is the only healthy thing I do. I am still thinking about this, which tells you how normalized the chaos has become, that I can have private thoughts in the middle of a firefight when I see her. She is standing in the open, not running, not fighting, not taking cover. She is simply standing in the middle of the boulevard, in the space between both sides, in the precise center of a crossfire that should have already killed her twice over. She is Vithori. There is no mistaking that. 7 feet tall, her carapace the deep blue-black of deep ocean water, cracked badly along her left shoulder, where something has gone through it, and left a wound that even from this distance, I can see is serious. Her weapon is on the ground at her feet. Her arms are at her sides, and her eyes are closed. Everything stops. Not from orders. There is no order that covers this. The shooting just stops the way a conversation stops, when something unexpected is said, that silence that comes before anyone knows what to respond. I look left and right and I see my own squad doing what I am doing, staring, trying to understand what they are looking at, whether it is a threat, a trick, a malfunction of some kind in the enemy's behavior. She does not move. Her face, what I can see of it from here, is completely still. Her mandibles, the secondary jaw structure the Vithori have below their primary mouth, are flat and motionless. Her chest moves, slowly. She is breathing, she is alive. She is, as far as I can tell, doing something completely deliberate. I have seen a lot of things in 3 years that I couldn't explain. I have never seen anything that looked like this. My radio crackles. My lieutenant's voice comes through. Osei, do not move. I repeat, do not move. His voice has the particular tone it gets when he is genuinely worried, which is different from his combat-worried voice and his strategy-worried voice. This is the voice he uses when a situation has no manual. I look at her standing there in the open, wounded, still, eyes closed. I stand up and walk toward her. I hear my lieutenant say something behind me that I will not repeat. I hear Torres grab at the air where my arm just was. I walk out from behind the cover of the wall and across the rubble, and I do not run, because running would be the wrong energy for this moment, and I know that in the wordless way, that I know which wounds are survivable and which ones are not. She hears me coming. I know because her head turns slightly, just a few degrees, toward the sound of my boots on the broken ground. But she does not open her eyes. I stop 2 meters away from her. Up close, the wound on her shoulder is worse than I thought. The carapace has not just cracked. Something has punched through it entirely, and the edges of the break are dark with the copper green of Vethori blood, already thickening in the heat. Her secondary lung cluster, which sits higher in their bodies than our lungs do, is partially exposed. She should not be standing. She definitely should not be this calm. I open my pack. I am aware that I have no idea if she will let me touch her. I am aware that she could kill me before I could blink if she wanted to. I am also aware that she has had ample opportunity to do exactly that since I left cover, and she has not. So I make a decision the same way I make most of my decisions out here, which is quickly and without overthinking it. I kneel down beside her. I start working. She doesn't stop me. Her translator unit is clipped to her belt, a small Vethori device, military grade, that both sides have been using since about 8 months into the war, when someone decided communication might be occasionally useful. I can hear it doing something, picking up audio, processing. She says something. It comes through the translator a half-second later, fragmented, the way translation always is when the languages are this different. You are the healer caste. Medic, I say. Yes. She is quiet for a moment. I keep working. The wound needs pressure, and it needs something to seal the exposed area from the air. And I do not have exactly the right materials for Vethori biology, but I have enough to slow the damage. She says a word I don't recognize, says it softly, almost to herself. The translator produces nothing for a few seconds, then renders it as something like witnessing, or the act of carrying. What were you doing? I ask. I ask it the way I ask patients questions, not to interrogate, but to keep them present, keep them talking. When you were standing there, what was that? She considers this for longer than I expect. Her eyes are open now, and she is looking at me with that compound gold gaze, 8-faceted, that sees more wavelengths of light than I will ever know. Up close, they are extraordinary. Like looking into a prism that has opinions. We call it Vethkar, the translator says. There is no exact word in your language. When a warrior knows they are crossing toward death, they close their eyes, and they count. Every soldier who fell, every name they carry. You do not cross until the count is finished. To leave them uncounted would be, the translator pauses, processing, a severing, a betrayal. I sit back on my heels and look at her. You were counting your dead. Yes. You did that in the open, in the middle of a firefight. Yes. She says it without any trace of apology or confusion. The way I would say yes, I breathed. Yes. The sun rose. The count does not pause because the battle continues. If anything, the battle is why the count cannot wait. Something moves in my chest that is hard to name. I think about my notebook. I think about writing Demi Rios's name at 19 years old on a muddy night in the first year of this war, in handwriting that shook, while people around me told me to get some sleep and stop carrying things I didn't have to carry. I do that too, I say. She goes very still. Not the way she was still before. This is a different kind. The stillness of something encountering information it does not know how to categorize. You do Vethkar. I don't call it that. But, yes, I keep a list. Every person I've watched die. I write the name down. I write down what I can remember about them. You are not dying, she says. No. This practice, in our understanding, it belongs to the dying. The living do not carry the full count. It would, she pauses, and I get the impression the translator is struggling, not with language but with concept. It would crush them. No living Vethori carries the names of every fallen. Only those who are about to join them. Humans do, I say. We carry all of it. All the time. She looks at me for a long time without speaking. I finish closing the wound as best I can. The biological barrier foam I'm using isn't designed for Vethori carapace, and I tell her this. Tell her she needs her own medical unit as soon as possible. She makes a small sound that might be acknowledgement. Behind me, I hear boots on rubble. My squad has moved up. I hear my lieutenant's voice, quiet and controlled, which means he has decided to wait and see before making a decision. That is one of the things I respect most about him. He is a man who is lost enough to know that sometimes the situation is already being handled. She looks at them. Then she looks back at me. They will allow this. I think so, I say. I think they're trying to figure out what this is. Same as me. What is it? I look at the notebook in my breast pocket without taking it out. I don't know yet, but I don't think it's nothing. Then she tells me something that rearranges every assumption I have made about this war. She tells me slowly, pausing for translation, her voice carrying that low resonance that Vithori voices have, something between a sound and a vibration. She tells me that the Vithori High Command, in the months before the first contact turned into open conflict, received reports from their xenobiological survey teams. These teams had been watching, studying, trying to understand us before deciding whether we were a species that could be reasoned with. Their conclusion was that we could not feel grief. The evidence they offered was this. We kept coming. Every time the Vithori engaged a human force and destroyed it, more humans came. We rebuilt. We sent more soldiers. We named our dead, and then we went right back to the front line the next morning, as if the naming meant nothing. To the Vithori, grief was something that stopped you. It was the weight that the living refused to carry. To watch a species name its fallen, and then stand up and keep fighting looked, to their researchers, like a performance. Like mimicry of emotion with no actual feeling behind it. They decided we were something like a machine, relentless, without meaningful inner experience. They declared war on us because they genuinely believed we did not mourn. I listen to all of this without speaking. When she is finished, I am quiet for what feels like a long time, but is probably only a few seconds. Then I take out the notebook. I hold it out to her. It is worn at the corners. The cover is stained with things I don't look at directly anymore. She takes it, carefully, her large hands moving with a precision that surprises me every time I watch Vithori handle something small. She looks at the pages. She cannot read it. But I think she understands what she is looking at. The lines, the dates, the weight of accumulated record-keeping that is visible even without translation. 41 names, I tell her. 3 years. Every soldier I watched die, written down in the same notebook I've carried since the first week of this war. Every human soldier in this war has something like this. Tattoos, photographs, rituals, notebooks, recordings, shrines built in the back of transports. We count louder than you have ever heard anything count. I lean forward slightly. We just don't stop moving while we do it. That isn't the absence of grief. That is grief walking upright. That is grief deciding that stopping would waste the names. She closes the notebook. She holds it a moment longer, and then she hands it back. Then she closes her eyes. Not in the desperate, almost frantic way she had before. The way of someone rushing to complete a rite before time runs out. This is different. This is slow and deliberate and chosen. She breathes in. She is quiet for a long moment. When she opens her eyes, she looks at me and says, "Tell me one name." I don't hesitate. Private Demi Rios, I say. 19 years old. First month of the war. She was from a small city near the coast, and she was planning to study marine biology when she got home. Shivarek repeats it. Slowly, carefully, in her own language, reshaping the sounds into something Vithori mouths can carry. I watch her commit it. I watch a Vithori warrior add a human name to her death count while sitting in the rubble of a destroyed city with a human medic's field dressing on her shoulder. We let her go. My lieutenant signs it himself, with no orders to authorize it, and the look on his face is the look of someone who has decided that some moments are larger than procedure. She walks back toward Vithori lines. She does not look back. The Vithori do not do that, I will later learn. To look back is to suggest the count is incomplete. She has completed it. She walks straight. 3 days later, a signal comes in on a channel that hasn't carried any transmission since the war began. It is in broken standard, translated poorly, clearly passed through several layers of Vithori communication systems before it reached us. It says, "We did not know you were grieving. We would speak further." That night I sit in the transport, and I open my notebook. I do not add to the list of the dead. The dead have their page. I turn to a fresh page at the back, the pages I have always left blank without knowing why, and I write one name, Shivarek. It goes at the top of what I am calling, for now, the living count. The list of those still here. The names worth carrying forward, rather than carrying as loss. I don't know if there is a word for this yet. I don't know if any language has invented it. I close my eyes. I witness. I count. And for the first time in 3 years, the counting feels less like a weight and more like a reason.